Hi everyone and welcome back to Gourmet Gateaux. Now today in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make one of our very popular large signature sugar roses. For this tutorial you will need the same tools and equipment needed as the previous tutorial with slight changes. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. I will leave a link for it in the description box below. Give the video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. The rosebud will be slightly bigger. Now this measurement is 3 centimeters in width and 4 centimeters in length, and your 2 petal cutters. The large one is 5.5 in the width and 7 centimeters in length, and the medium one is 4.5 in length and 3.5 in width. You will need an apple tray as well. Let's get started. What I have here are some disposable gloves that I always put on before colouring my icing. And here I have some white Squire's Kitchen florist paste, which I will be colouring a lilac, as I will be making a lilac sugar rose today. You can use whatever colour you want. I always use the Sugar Flare Make, and this is a grape violet, which I will be adding just a tiny amount to give it that lilac shade, with some Trex, If you find that your paste is still slightly hard and it's really using force to get pliable, just add a little more Trex into it. And now that that's all coloured, you can get your rosebud ready. Pop it back into your bag or cling film. Now to get your foam bud ready. Your 20 gauge wire in there. Bring it down and twist. And remember, if it's still wobbly, get some pliers and just tighten them from the bottom, just so it's secure. So now that we have that ready, what we want to do is get our icing, some of our icing. I always use these Gateaux foil bags to cover my icing, as they're fantastic. The thickness of the foil prevents any air from getting in, and all you do is just roll it up like that and seal all the way across. That gets your maximum air out. These are fantastic and I definitely recommend purchasing these. Roll it out before you put it through your pasta machine. And we will need one of the largest petal cutter. And again, work your way from the thickest to the third thinnest setting. And then when you get to the third one, you can pop it through once or twice. And you want your largest one out of the two. If you want, you can go ahead and cut out the 6 smallest cutter ones as well, as you've already got your petal paste rolled out and you don't have to keep rolling it. And that's 6. Any extra paste, just pop it in your storage board. Remember, you do want to keep your icing covered to prevent it from drying out. Then you just want to roll up and down. Getting it fairly thin. Then turning it sideways. If you want to flip it over and turn it sideways, you can. Otherwise, you can just do it like that or that way, whichever way you prefer. Get your sugar glue and coat the whole petal. And then wrap it round with one side tucked in like a little cape, bringing the other one across and stretch. Bring it up just to have a look at it. And there. Again, with the extra, you can either just tuck it in or cut it like I do. Just so it gives a clean bottom bit as well. You can open it up slightly as well with your cocktail stick if you want. For the next 6 petals, you will need your foam pad, but you want 3 petals first. Again, with your rolling pin from the bottom to the top, making the petals slightly bigger and thinner. Take a little ruffles out, flatten them out a little. Get your sugar glue and coat. You can wait for the glue to get tacky for a couple of seconds before you start applying as well. Then what you want to do is put your petal on a join, slightly higher, tucking down one side of the petal. It doesn't matter, it could be clockwise or anti-clockwise, whichever you're comfortable with. But always use the same direction once you start off then. Peel back your first one. And tuck that underneath. Then bring that across, down and stick. And you can do the same for the rest as well. And then if you want, you can just open them up a little until you're happy with it. And there. Let's do row 2, and you only use the same 3 petals of the same size. Flatten them out a little. Now really, before putting each layer on, you would let the previous layer dry for 15 to 20 minutes and then put your next layer on. And for this, you just want to coat about 3/4. And you want to put the first petal on a join and slightly higher, just a little. Peel back your first petal and tuck that underneath, making sure the bottom bit is all glued and stuck on, and then bring that across and stick. If you want the center to be more closed, you can bring the petal down and it will close the center. If you want it a little opening up, then just loosen it up from here. It doesn't matter if they're tear. And if you want to bend the tips a little as well, you can. And open the petals slightly as well. And there. Now I'm happy with it. And again, I would let this dry for 15 to 20 minutes before putting my next layer on. For your third row, you also want the same size, but this time you want 5. Flatten them out. And you want to just coat the bottom half of this row. Again, you can wait for a couple of seconds for it to get a little tacky. and you'd put your first petal on a join and slightly higher. Overlapping by half. You've got to be really careful with your spacing. Sometimes it can take less than a half for overlapping and sometimes it can take more. But this is, the half is when your edge of the petal is halfway off your new petal. Like that. Peel back your first petal. And tuck that underneath. Stretch it across and stick it. And again, if you want it a little loose and opening up, you can just open them up like that. Just by pushing the petals a little up and outwards. And you want to, if you want them tight, bring them down and stick that way. And as you can see, that one's opened up and that one's closed. And then play around with your petals a little, just open them up if you want. If you want, you can just bend the tips back as well. And if you want, you can leave it like they are. Like so. Now on to our last two rows. Now for these two, you will need your apple tray and your same size petal cutter as the previous rows. You will need 16 petals in total, 7 for the first one and 9 for the last one. And you can go right ahead and cut them all out in one go so you don't have to re-roll your icing. We're still on the third thinness setting. Once you have them all cut out, you want to grab your 7 petals. Keep the rest covered. And for these two rows, you don't want to frill the edges too much, as then you will not be able to roll them over as we are gonna. You want them a little thick so they have some grip to them. And you just want to take the tips of your fingers and roll them backwards. So you get that nice little point there. And you want to make sure that's in line with the bottom. And then you want to get your apple tray and pop them in there. And just push that down so it comes out with that nice cup shape. And you want to do that with the remaining 6 petals. Once you've done all 7, you want to leave them in there for a couple of minutes just so they can dry out a little, and when you pick them up and start to glue them to your rows, they still have that nice cup shape. It's been about 5 minutes and we can take them out now. they still have that little cup shape and they're not too dry as well. They're still flexible. And that's what you're looking for. And this time with your sugar glue, you just want to coat the bottom left and right section of the petal. So just the left and right and about a quarter. And get your rose. For this row, you want to place it same level as the previous row. Or maybe slightly below that, but not above it. And you want the tips, the pointy bits, towards the side rather than having them pointing straight up. And you're overlapping by about half. Making sure the bottom bits are secure and glued onto the rose, or they could just all fall off. And peel back your first. I tend to hold my rose like that so the petals don't fall off, and give it some support with my left hand while I place and position the last two petals, and then just pull that back. If you feel they're coming off, just turn them upside down and just press them in. Once you've added all of your 7 petals, what you want to do is grab something that you can hang it upside down on. I tend to use this rack, and all I do is just bend the wire and hang it. Now you really want to leave it there for 15 to 20 minutes and let it dry a little. Just enough so when you pick it up the right way, the petals don't fall off and you're able to add your last row. Okay, so this has now been drying for 20 minutes. And what I'm going to do is just lift it off there. As you can see, they're not fully dry. There's got some movement to the petals and you can play around with them and place them how you want them. Just opening them up. And now you really want to hang it straight and let it fully dry before adding your final row. So now we've let our rows fully dry, we can go ahead and add our last row. You will still need your apple tray and 9 of your same sized petals. Once you've done all 9, you want to get your apple tray and put them in your apple tray, same as before. And you want to let these dry for 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your humid conditions. If you find that they're still not dry after 15-20 minutes, you can bake them in the oven for 1 to 2 minutes and nothing more on the lower setting. Now that they've been drying for 15-20 minutes, you can take them out of the apple tray. And you want them just so that they're holding their cup shape, but not as hard, and they're still pliable to apply. And again, get your sugar glue and coat the bottom left and right side of the petal. Be sure to apply enough glue so it sticks. And you can wait for it to get tacky for a couple of seconds. And you want to put the petals on a join, but below the last row. So just leaving a little bit of a gap between the two layers. And overlapping by a half, and then working your way around. Making sure the bottom is sticking. Whoops. If you find that that happens, don't panic. Just keep going. And you can always pick them up and add them. You can just put your finger there so any more don't fall off. Keep turning it upside down and just pushing the petal in so it's securely glued. Then peel back your first petal and just slide your last two, making sure they stick. And then just put that back up and stick. And then you can just turn it upside down and just press them in so they are nice and glued. And I would let this hang upside down on our rack again for a further 15 to 20 minutes. It's now been 15 to 20 minutes that the rose has been drying. I'm just going to hold it upright and position my petals how I'd like them to be, opening them up a little. As you can tell, the petals have a little movement to them because I've not let them dry fully. Once you're fully happy with the way the rose looks, you can stand it up and let it dry fully overnight. So there we have it, guys. Our beautiful sugar rose is completely ready. Now I'd just like to let you know, if you were to make a bigger rose, you would get the bigger size bud and the bigger petal cutters. And if you were to make a smaller rose, you would get the smaller size bud and the small petal cutters as well. If you find the tutorial helpful, give it a thumbs up. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to hit the bell button to be notified of any updates or whenever I upload a new video, and thank you for watching.